Welcome to Off the Coast, where we examine the views from Vancouver Island with your host, Rosemary Barnes. New and exciting things, preserved and respected things, business, recreation, politics, travel, all from the point of view of the people living and working on the island. Rosemary is a professional speaker and certified speaking coach living in historic Ladysmith and loving every day of the island life. Here is your Vancouver Island host, Rosemary.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island. I'm your host, Rosemary Barnes, the Maverick Voice at Confident Stages. In just a few minutes, I'm going to welcome our guest onto the show, but just before I do, I'd like to make sure that everyone in Radioland knows about a presentation that's being offered October 28th to 30th in Souk Harbour House in the amazing area of Souk, British Columbia, on Vancouver Island. The weekend is called Presentation Power, and it is a women's professional development event designed to help women avoid the three key mistakes that keep them anxious about their business presentation, namely stilted structure, ineffectual vocal skills, and a lack of gravitas, power, and charisma. Over the course of the weekend, participants will learn how to create and deliver powerful presentations. You will learn how to successfully impact with presentation charisma, and you will learn how to choose the presentation style that is right for you, but more importantly, right for the ears of the audience. There is going to be a fabulous guest presenter named Sue Ferreira, who is aptly named the Techie Granny. She is an amazing woman that is so well-versed in all things technical, especially video, and the world of social media has gone to video. Primarily, it will be my presentation, Rosemary Barnes, the Maverick Voice at Confident Stages. To find out more, please visit my website at www.confidentstages.com. Back to the show that we have today. I am thrilled to welcome George Hanson as our guest today on Off the Coast. George is an extremely well-known man across Vancouver Island, known for his achievements in the community, for economic and organizational development on Vancouver Island. People know that when you ask George to get things done, they will happen. He has that reputation and making a difference. He's consulted for corporations, community organizations, district, municipal, provincial, federal governments. George leads comprehensive urban renewal projects. Welcome to the show, George.
Thank you, Rosemary. Happy to be here.
There is so many more things that the world needs to know about you, and because you have so much to do with things that go on Vancouver Island, it seems only fitting that you should be a guest on this show. The Vancouver Island Economic Alliance, VIEA, is a big deal here on the island. Let's open with what that is, what it does, and what your role in it is.
Yes, the Economic Alliance is actually celebrating its 10th year in existence. It came about because of a vision that there was a need for greater collaboration to further our island economy and ensure that it's vital and sustainable. Essentially, the Economic Alliance it's actually unique in British Columbia. It is the only non-government, non-profit organization that embraces the economy of an entire region. And of course, our region as Vancouver Island is pretty easy to measure. You go in 4 different directions, and when you hit water, you're not on the island anymore. So it's very easy for us to embrace this entire island identity. And essentially, what the Economic Alliance is all about, it's a membership organization, and we look for ways to bring organizations and individuals together to collaborate to help improve our economy. And that takes a lot of different forms. We bring stakeholders together in various parts of different industries and sectors to talk about challenges and opportunities and how we can work together to improve things. We host an annual economic summit, the State of the Island Economic Summit, which brings 500 to 600 people from one end of the island to the other together every October to look at challenges, opportunities, to brainstorm solutions and work on business development. And we also produce an annual economic report, which is also unique in British Columbia. We are the only region in British Columbia that produces a third-party economic report on the state of the island economy. So in a nutshell, that's who the Vancouver Island Economic Alliance is. And I am the president of the alliance, have been for 5 years.
That's half the lifetime of the organization.
Yes.
You know, when I moved to Vancouver Island 3 years ago, I didn't know a soul on this island, and I didn't know much about the state of the inner workings of the island. People told me, if you want to find out about the economics of Vancouver Island, you must attend Vancouver Island Economic Alliance Summit meetings. And I was not able to do so, but there's one coming up in not too long, yes?
Yes, indeed. October 26 and 27 at the Vancouver Island Conference Center.
In Nanaimo.
Yes.
I understand that you were one of the head movers, shakers, and doers to organize the urban renewal project in downtown Nanaimo a while back.
Yes, I was. I was actually hired as the first managing director for what was then the Downtown Nanaimo Partnership, which was designed to bring downtown Nanaimo back to life. Essentially, it started in 2001 and continued through 2008.
It certainly is alive now. There's rarely a weekend when there isn't some phenomenal festival going on and fireworks for something or other, and we've got all manner of things that happen in downtown Nanaimo now. And of course, as long as I've been here, it's always been like that. So how back when it wasn't doing too well, what was left in downtown Nanaimo? Just to give me a point of comparison.
Well, let's put it this way. When we started in 2001, storefront vacancy was 50%, and no one was thinking of developing anything residential or commercial in downtown Nanaimo. After 7 years of work, we achieved 11 provincial awards for our work and attracted some $400 million of investment.
And we have the downtown Nanaimo business improvement. What is that thing called?
Yes, if it's the Downtown Nanaimo Business Improvement Association.
There it is. Isn't that a mouthful? And it's still meeting regularly to try and maintain and continue to improve that sector of the city.
That's correct. Yes.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And now we've got cruise ships coming in. And this year we had a cruise ship that has never been here before. Isn't that right?
Yes, I don't know the scheduling of the cruise ships, but I know that the Port Authority continues to work with other stakeholders in the community to strengthen the appeal so that the cruise ship industry is something that can grow in the Mid-Island.
What is the Oceanside Development and Construction Association Board? I know you were the president of that for a bit.
No, I was on the board. I was not president of that.
Oh.
I spent a period of time as the development manager for Insight Developments and was on that development and construction board in the Oceanside area during that time. And that organization is essentially an organization of construction and development professionals working to ensure that there is a healthy climate for construction in that area.
Where did you get all these mountains of expertise from, George? What's your background?
Well, I'm like a lot of people of the, what would you call it, the boomer era, I guess, where I have my life has taken me to diverse places and different kinds of education, and I've had a career of serial opportunities to lead complex endeavors. I describe myself as a career problem solver. My background is actually in fine arts and developmental psychology, and I combined those to a expertise in organizational development, which led to community development, economic development, property development, business development.
My goodness, as a holder of a fine arts degree myself, I can tell you that fine arts and psychology really ought to be one and the same, because we're both trying to touch and urge and encourage others to think and feel in a community way. So I think it's a natural fit for you. Are you a Vancouver Islander by birthright, or are you one of our many very happily ensconced immigrants?
Very happily ensconced immigrants. We moved to Vancouver Island 20 years ago from Vancouver. I'm actually a dual citizen. I was born and raised outside of Boston, Massachusetts.
There you go. Well, isn't that a wonderful thing? So you can jump over the border and hop and scotch and be welcome wherever you go, George. That's wonderful. So you have been, all right, now just to make sure that I get this straight now, you have been absolutely completely influential for redeveloping and regenerating downtown Nanaimo. You've been the president of the business improvement area of British Columbia for 2 years. What is the business improvement areas of British Columbia? Does that tie in with the Nanaimo projects?
Well, yes, a BIA, as it's called, a business improvement area, it was something that was legislated in British Columbia in the 1980s. The downtown Nanaimo was actually the first BIA in British Columbia, and when we were revitalizing downtown Nanaimo, the partnership was a partnership between the city of Nanaimo, the business stakeholders, and the BIA of the time. And so many communities throughout British Columbia have business improvement areas, which collect monies voluntarily from business and property owners in those areas to enable the organizations associated with that to work on behalf of those stakeholders. So while I was leading the downtown revitalization, I became a member of the provincial board and eventually the president of that board for a period of time.
My goodness, you must have pretty much amazing managerial skills and supervisory skills and delegation skills, because one man certainly cannot do all of these things. You are also, what is Insight Developments?
Insight Developments is no more, actually, but Insight Developments was a major, highly respected development company in Nanaimo. You may be familiar with Longwood Station and the Longwood community, which was built by Insight Developments. The Hawthorne Corner project there on Wakasai and 2nd was built by inside developments, as is the Hawthorne community that's still under development in behind Hawthorne Corner, and various other projects. Longwood Brewhouse, for instance, was part of the development of Insight.
Boy, that is a happening place, that one. Longwood Brew Pub and the buildings around it are just a cornerstone of evening activities. That's a happening place, that is. There is also a project and group that you organize that is quite near and dear to my heart, and that is the Young Entrepreneurs Society of Nanaimo. One of the topics that I speak on, as you know, I'm a public speaker. The topic that is nearest to my heart is leadership in the 21st century and how to connect the dots between the younger generations and the older generations, and to make sure that everyone is getting what we need from each other in order to benefit. And the Young Entrepreneurs Society just encapsulates the brilliance of our youth that is coming up. And I understand you were a founding member of that organization.
No, I was not a founding member of the Young Professionals of Nanaimo. I think I was already too old by the time they started. But I do have a lot of close connections with members and former members of that organization, because I serve as vice chair and grants director for the Nanaimo Foundation, and several of our board members have come from the YPN organization. I mean, another connection relative to youth that would interest you, I would think, is that the MBA group at Vancouver Island University has secured the fact that they are going to host the National MBA Games on Vancouver Island in January 2017. And the Economic Alliance is working with them. One of the cases that will be put in front of the contestants in the MBA Games is a business case to assist us in making sure that we do our best in retaining the talent that is graduating out of the colleges and universities on Vancouver Island.
And what a great job they are doing with our youth too. The private schools and the universities and the colleges, they're all working so closely together with the whole school system, and especially given the population demographic changes that are happening right now. We have so much available for our newcomers to Vancouver Island that I don't know how anyone can come here and not be made to feel welcome and not be shown how to use and enhance their talents. I think it's an amazing thing, and Vancouver Island University is doing quite an amazing job, including the high school there. The wonderful thing about Vancouver Island is its sense of community. Do you find that?
Absolutely. Again, because we're on an island, I think people readily understand that together we're stronger, and that we need to work together to accomplish important things.
And it's also very important that although we are we're not a tiny island, but we're not massive either, but we have a great influence on more things than people might realize.
You know, Rosemary, I think a lot of people don't quite understand where Vancouver Island fits into the grand scheme of things regarding geographical and population size. You know, but I did a bit of research a year or so ago when we were producing our first annual State of the Island Economic Report, and learned in that research that with a population of 780,000 people, Vancouver Island is far larger than the province of Prince Edward Island, is about 50% larger than Newfoundland and Labrador, is about 10 or 15% larger in population than New Brunswick, and is approaching the population of Nova Scotia. And in geographical size, Vancouver Island is the size of Taiwan.
Yes.
We are like virtually almost a country unto ourselves. And
And
some people would like to be that, I think.
oh, that would be terribly unfortunate. Being part of Canada is a matter of pride for many of us. However, everyone is entitled to their own ways and means. It is stunning to hear, though, that out of 780,000 people, and with the core of the island, the inside core being mountainous, when you realize how many centers the people are living in and doing business in and doing business together, that's a pretty dynamic community.
Yes, it extends up and down the island. Of course, 50% of the population is south of the Malahat, and the other 50% is north. But there is a lot of untapped potential and a lot of opportunity on Vancouver Island.
In terms of the economics of the island, now, of course, one automatically thinks of forestry.
Yes, of course.
And illuminated to no small degree with the number of very polite logging drivers that we see on our highways. My goodness, those gentlemen know what they're doing. They can make those big rigs just do ballet out there. But what comes second? And am I right in assuming logging and forestry is our prime driver?
Well, I think everyone knows that the forest industry has changed dramatically over the 60-year history of forestry, or 70-year history of forestry, and we believe that the future of this industry using the sustainable resource of our forests is in value-added manufacturing. Forestry practices and logging will continue, of course, creation of dimensional lumber and exporting logs. But in the midst of all of that, we think that there is a significant untapped opportunity to grow and diversify the value-added sector, which can be everything from cross-laminated timber to wood fiber insulation to making furniture and all kinds of different uses for fiber. What we're working on is raising the awareness of how the industry could be diversified so that it would create more wealth on Vancouver Island, more job opportunities, and to see if we can't work together to attract the investment necessary to achieve that level of diversification.
It seems a natural progression of events. So, what is the stumbling block to make that happen? It seems, if I had money to invest, that seems like an obvious growth world in which to place it.
Yes, well, there are myriad factors, and assisting the industry to mature and diversify. We describe as kind of untangling the Gordian knot. It's not as simple as it might seem. With all of the different licenses and levels of government involved, the contracts with fiber and exports. The need for different kinds of fiber for different kinds of uses, and how that's accessed and how it's transported and where it's transported to, and then building the business case for value-added industries and finding the right combination of investors and entrepreneurs to take that on. So it's not as simple as you might seem. It might seem. But we are certainly have been dedicating a fair amount of our time and energy into trying to help it move forward.
And how long have you been working on that?
Better part of 3 years, I would say.
And of course you're making headway. Are you satisfied with the speed at which it's progressing?
Oh no, we're never satisfied with the speed at which it is progressing. But there's Rome wasn't built in a day, and it's extremely important with any large initiatives like this to make sure that all of the stakeholders and contributors are invited to the party. So that nothing is being done in isolation, and there's opportunity for everyone from government to private sector to employees, etc., to have an understanding of where the opportunities are and to work together to try to actualize that potential.
And I would think that it would be a wonderful potential. I can see that just exploding once it actually takes hold. Is this going to be one of the topics at the Economic Report Summit, where the Economic Report is going to be released?
Well, forestry and wood industries, of course, will be reported on in the report. This year, we are not actually going to have a session focused on forestry and wood industries because we have had a number of those in the last few years, and we're at a stage now where we're working to implement some of the initiatives that we've been identifying, and it'll probably be next year at the 2017 summit where we'll be in better position to report to people on traction that we've gained.
So, what sort of things? We're having the second annual State of the Island Economic Report released on October 26th and 27th at the Economic Summit, the 10th one. So what is that weekend going to look like? Oh, it's not a weekend, but over the 2 days.
The 2 days. It's a Wednesday, Thursday.
Yes.
And it's a full 2 days. We have 4 plenary sessions. We're going to have a tech showcase. There's a trade show. The Economic Summit is widely acknowledged as the business networking event of the year. And we keep everything very grassroots and close to the ground so that there's a lot of relevance that generates conversation and business development amongst those that are participating. Our opening speaker this year is going to be a woman by the name of Dr. Catherine Potvin from McGill University, who is the National Chair on Climate Change Mitigation. We've been working to include a focus on climate change for several years, and this year we've finally been able to put that together with Dr. Potvin's help. Our evening speaker at the summit dinner is going to be the newest and youngest member of the CBC's Dragon Den. Her name is Nicole Verkint, and she is going to be speaking about technology, investment in technology, and the disruptive economy. One of our sessions, of course, will be the presentation of the highlights of the State of the Island Economic Report. And we have other plenary speakers that we are not yet announcing. But we also have 16 sessions focused on everything from aquaculture to climate change to First Nations reconciliation to technology to marine research and everything in between.
And how many people attend?
About 600.
That alone, having that number of people in downtown Nanaimo is going to be an economic boost all by itself. Mm-hmm. And that all takes place at the Vancouver Island Conference Centre in downtown Nanaimo. It really is the who's who of business on Vancouver Island. If you want to know about anything that's going on economically and what's upcoming and what's in the midst, and that is the place to go. So how does one make arrangements to attend, George?
You can go online to our website, which is VIEA.ca. Look for the section on the summit, and you can register right online. Great.
And believe you me, it's a wise thing to do. Now, I want to go back to the Capturing Talent initiative, where you are collaborating with colleges, universities, and businesses to retain the talent that we have here. Can you give us any more insight as to what that looks like?
Yes, well, we've in our minds, in our list of sort of annual priorities that we identify and work on, we identified two pieces of a puzzle, in essence. One of the pieces of the puzzle was that there is continual dialogue around the need for succession planning for island businesses and the need for young entrepreneurs and new entrants to the workforce, because, as we all know, across Canada, across the Western world, really, our workforce is aging, and we need a new generation of business owners, of employees, of entrepreneurs. And so we have that as one piece of the puzzle that needs recognition. And the other piece is that international education has become one of British Columbia's largest exports. And it is a significant contributor, if not driver, of the island economy. We have two colleges, North Island College and Camosun College, and three universities, Royal Roads, UVic, and VIU, in addition to lots of smaller private institutions and, of course, the International High School at VIU and the boarding schools, etc. And we look at that and say, okay, we are doing a great job of attracting students from all over British Columbia, all over Canada, and internationally that want to come to Vancouver Island. Are we doing as good a job of capturing the talent coming out of these institutions to become a new generation of contributors to our economy? And so we've initiated a dialogue which has involved representatives from all five of those colleges and universities to converse with us and the business community about how we might work together to make sure that we are capturing as much talent as we can from our post-secondary institutions.
It's a real risk, isn't it, that we lose these people that know that they can come here, be educated to world-class standards, and then, of course, what we want to do is keep them because they're brilliant. But we always there's always that head of risk that raises itself, that they're going to leave again. Why they would want to leave Vancouver Island, I don't know, but there you go. And so I think it's vital.
Well, it's all about communicating and raising awareness of opportunity and helping these students connect with businesses and public institutions where there are career opportunities for them. There is no shortage of people, students included, who would love to make Vancouver Island their home. It's always the challenge of how do I establish and grow a career on Vancouver Island.
Yes, and that is still a bit of a problem. But then look at Alberta right now too. It is a fickle world, and it is wise to make sure that we always have some sort of a retention plan in place. And I'm so glad to hear that you're heading this, because something is going to be done. Then I'm just pleased as punch to know that you're taking care of this for us. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is products and product branding. There is some of the most brilliant artwork on this island. There's some of the most amazing homes and contractors and builders, and there's so much expertise, and yet there doesn't seem to be any solid thread that links it all to Vancouver Island. Should there be? Should there be Vancouver Island branding?
Well, we believe that there is demand for Vancouver Island products, and that there is opportunity to increase that demand and therefore increase markets for island producers, whether those are food producers or art producers, as you say, or other product producers. And so we have created, one of our priorities is to explore the possibility of articulating made on Vancouver Island as a means of helping to grow the businesses and grow the markets for island businesses. So we're in the process of exploring that at the moment.
So I want to get into that just a little bit. Marketing is a whole entity, and it is one that you must embrace, whether you like it or not, whether you are making safety pins or homes or building skyscrapers or cars or selling artwork. Marketing is part of everyday existence, whether we choose to acknowledge that or not. How does one market an entire island? How do you break that down into bite-sized chunks?
There are plenty of successful examples in the world of regional marketing. If you think of, if you buy a bottle of wine from France, it has an appellation, and that it's from France, and it's from a specific region in France. That's just one example of that. And so it really is about accentuating the knowledge that people already have. So, a place to start, for instance, is people that are already here, already coming here, already being tourists here. When I go as a tourist to visit other places, or I go on a business trip or whatever, I always have part of my eye is looking for what's unique in that area and what is there that is grown there or made there or whatever that I could try and experience. And so, if you build on that from a close-in market standpoint, get people living on Vancouver Island to be interested in island-made products, and then grow it from there.
Yes, and you can see the benefits of that, but is that not a really long term? It means the commitment for that has to be long term. The projections for that has to be long term. So not only do you have to create the interest in the first place, but the succession planning has to be built right into it from the onset, right?
Absolutely, Rosemary. There's hardly anything of great value that doesn't take some sweat equity and some investment over a long period of time. I remember a story from my childhood about JFK, and he wanted a certain tree planted in the White House lawn, and the gardener said, "But Mr. President, you realize, of course, that this is a very slow-growing tree. It will take decades for it to reach maturity." And the answer was, "Well, then we better plant it soon."
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Is that how long ago did we start looking into island product branding, and how far along in the process is it, and what are we doing to maintain the momentum for it?
Yes, well, this is one of those ideas, for instance. It's not a new idea. I've lived on Vancouver Island for 20 years, and I've had any number of casual conversations about having an island product brand over that period of time. But some ideas, they take time to gestate, and we're looking at it now and believing that perhaps now the appetite is strong enough and the timing could be right for us to pursue development of this.
So you have to include all levels of government with that, all levels of private industry, all levels of public, and that That leads to decision by committee and all that comes with it.
Yes,
This,
well, but there's no other way of doing anything that will have lasting impact and value than to do it in a manner that is inclusive of the stakeholders that need to be involved. Um, if I've learned one thing in my career, if you try to do anything unilaterally, it will always blow up eventually.
oh, does it ever? Does it ever? Which is why, as I say, my favorite topic on which to speak is leadership in the 21st century, because that unilateral leadership back when we were young chickens didn't go over terribly well. And today, oh my goodness, that doesn't work. Are you finding that the young people are taking interest in all of these things? Is there a difference between the interest that was from one generation to another?
I don't know if I could say that there is, a difference that I could point out, but I could tell you that I have the pleasure of working regularly with people that are half my age and less, and I see a vibrancy and a level of commitment and idea generation that is thrilling. It's exciting to see people that are taking ownership of their communities and wanting to make a difference and committed to making a difference.
That is one of the hallmarks of the upcoming generation and the newbies into the workforce is their absolute commitment to community. Mm-hmm. And belonging. They've grown up in a world of touch tone togetherness, and now they're taking that out into the workforce too. And I can't think of a better group of people to send us further along into the 21st century. Their ideas are brilliant, and they have the commitment to carry things through. So with people like you mentoring them and then turning the reins over to them, much as people complain about younger generations for every generation, I think we're in pretty good hands,
Oh, I think so. I mean, has there ever been an older generation that didn't complain about a younger generation?
That's what I'm saying. But yes, our young people are brilliant. Do the young people have, are they as married to technological advancements in terms of economic development as we think they are?
Oh, I don't know, Rosemary. That's a big question. I think it changes with each individual.
That is true. That is true. There is in Victoria, there is a huge swing to technological markets. And we're getting a pretty nice reputation for having a lot of expertise in the area that is world class, and they're situated right on Vancouver Island. They're calling it Tech City, something like that, right here in Victoria. And that's a surefire way to keep our brightest here on the island, is to lure them with the idea of technological excellence. Do we find that? I know that there's a hub in Victoria. Do we find that anywhere else on the island?
Oh, it certainly is. It certainly is growing in the Mid-Island area, I would say, especially sort of, from Duncan to Comox, there's a growing tech community, small startups and hidden companies that have been quietly doing business at a high level for quite a long time. So there's no question that the tech sector is vibrant and growing on Vancouver Island.
And isn't that a great thing? So we've got the push toward taking our vast resources, but certainly not continuous resources of wood and our forests, and we're trying now to create more product with it and market those kinds of things. We've got our tech sector growing. What about, the most obvious is that we are an ocean-surrounded country. How are we doing with fisheries? How are we doing with marine trade and the like of that?
Well, that's a diverse and complex question, and you probably get a different answer from every person you ask, Rosemary. But I think, as you say, we are surrounded by the ocean, and there is quite a lot of significant ocean research, marine research that's happening on Vancouver Island, and attached to that, considerable potential for capitalization of that research into improving technologies and manufacturing new equipment, etc. In fact, one of the sessions at our upcoming summit is going to be a session focused on the marine network that is being run out of the Enterprise Center at UVic, and a conversation amongst the researchers and some investors regarding the potential for capitalization in that regard. Other areas around wild fisheries, with the changing of the ocean because of climate change, etc., the impacts that has on wild fisheries, the changes that requires in aquaculture. There's again huge, only nascent development in the whole world of finfish and shellfish aquaculture, which bodes very strong for future development and expansion of marine products on Vancouver Island.
It seems that there is honestly more push toward the forestry end than there is toward the marine end, from the viewpoint of the onlooker, me. It's very obvious when we see trucks rolling down the highway and we see our verdant forests and whatnot, but I rarely see anything to do with marine things. Are they simply a more closed shop? Why are we not seeing more obvious signs of work in that area?
I'm not sure why that would be. One is that a truck can go down the highway filled with seafood product, and you're not aware of it in the same way that you're aware of a logging truck going by filled with Douglas fir or something. So part of it it isn't as visible because the infrastructure is not as large. But there's no question that there is a lot going on in that sector, and potential and opportunity for significantly more. An interesting fact, for instance, is that the several First Nations of the Nuchalnith Tribal Council have recently purchased a significant share of St. Jean's Cannery, and developed a First Nations fishery on the West Coast. So you're seeing lots of new investment and changed ownership in the industry, as well as development of a wider range of products from growing algae for sale overseas to gooey duck and sea cucumber and all kinds of different things.
And St. Jean's Cannery, oh my goodness, what a wonderful glowing statement about that kind of work on Vancouver Island. What a marvelous company. Their products are so well known and so well respected. What about, we are an island, and much of Canada is not surrounded by water, and with the climate that we have here, it is a natural place for tourists. So how much of our economic development is being spent on improving tourist facilities and enhancing their stays while they're here, in the hopes to lure them back into investments and to just have them back. How much? What is the percentage of our economic budgets, of research budgets and progressive budgets, are being used towards tourism?
Oh, I have no idea the answer to that question, except to say that that it is broadly recognized now, the importance of tourism to economic development. In fact, the Vancouver Island Tourism Association recently, with funding from the Island Coastal Economic Trust, it did some preliminary work on the importance of economic development organizations and tourism organizations working together collaboratively, because the anecdotal stories of investment that has occurred because someone came first as a tourist is something that's repeated over and over again.
Exactly.
Someone visits as a tourist, they fall in love with a place, they start looking around and going, why isn't there a, you name it, business here? There's an opportunity. I think I'll buy some property and start a business. And that story is played out everywhere in the world where tourists are attracted, and certainly happens on Vancouver Island. And right now, of course, as we predicted last year in our economic report, the depressed value of the Canadian dollar last year attracted a lot of Canadians to stay home and be tourists on Vancouver Island, and tourism numbers were up significantly last year. And we predicted that this year, because of the time it takes for others to catch up, that there would be an increase of visitation from Americans and Europeans and Asians taking advantage of the low Canadian dollar. And sure enough, all of the reports are showing that that European, Asian, and visitors from the United States are way up on Vancouver Island this summer.
Isn't that wonderful? And as it should be, this place is glorious. I defy you to come here and not fall in love with the place. Can you answer a question for me that may sound silly, but I honestly don't know the answer?
I'll give it a shot.
Am I simply not aware, or is there no shipbuilding here?
Oh no, there is shipbuilding, but certainly not on the kind of enormous scale that you would find in other places. But no, there is shipbuilding happening on Vancouver Island.
And which centers will we find that?
You'll find a bit of it in scattered around in different places, but you'll find a bit of it in Nanaimo. You'll find shipbuilding in Victoria, some smaller scale things in various other places on the island.
Now, what about our northern cities, Comox, Campbell River? Now, when I went up to Campbell River, first of all, what a phenomenally beautiful drive that is. And secondly, I was struck, even though it was dusk, Campbell River was absolutely polka dotted with remarkable sculptures all over, and boasting of the pride of the artisans who made them, but also as a tourist draw, I would imagine. So in Campbell River, for example, what is the main industry there? I mean, we know what Nanaimo does. We know what Victoria does. What happens in Comox? What happens in Campbell River? What happens in many of our other places further up?
Well, before I answer that question, I also have to help out the folks that really do live in the North Island, because many of us view Campbell River as North Island, but if you actually look at the map, Campbell River is barely halfway.
Yes.
And so when you talk North Island, you're really talking about Port Hardy, Port McNeill, Alert Bay, Port Alice, places, Seaward, places like that. So Just a shout out to our North Island folks who often feel like people don't know they exist up there.
Oh, and it's
But
beautiful.
Campbell River, is and has often always been very focused on forestry and wild fisheries, and of course there's all through the Courtenay-Comox Campbell River area. There's a lot of aquaculture activity as well. One of the things that is really driving the economy in Campbell River right now is, of course, the construction or reconstruction of the John Hart hydro facility. There's billions of dollars going in there over that's like a 7-year project, and then there are other projects associated with that will continue. So there's significant large-scale infrastructure investment going on there. Of course, the Courtenay-Comox area has the economic benefits of there being an Air Force base there, which it plays a significant role in the economy, and and there's a diversity of industries in that area as well. Tourism is enormous for that whole part of the island also.
And of course, having an airport there is nice. A good way to bring people in. Having an airport is pretty vital. Mm-hmm. Now, what about Fort McNeil and Port Hardy and areas of that? Are they primarily forestry, or do they lean more toward fisheries? What happens up there?
Forestry and fisheries is certainly very important there. Aquaculture plays a role. Tourism, sport tourism is important to them. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it is remarkable to me that we speak of Nanaimo as being mid-island, whereas in fact it's still very much in the bottom half of the island. Mm-hmm. But I suppose we speak of it in terms of economic impact more than anything else, or population. Pure population. The point of it is that there is, each part of this island plays a significant part gives a significant contribution to the whole economic situation of this wonderful place. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
So Absolutely. How do we make sure that our neighbors in the actual northern part of the island, how do we make sure that they don't feel segregated from us? Distance, of course, but are we taking great pains to make sure that they feel their importance is being noted?
Yes, well, again, one of the values of our annual economic summit is that people come from all over Vancouver Island, from Port Alice, Port McNeil, Port Hardy, Victoria, West Coast, Tofino, Ucluelet, all through the Mid-Island, etc. And it's the singular opportunity annually for people from all sectors, public and private, nonprofit, local government, industries, small business people, etc., to come together and share ideas and share stories and network for mutual benefit. And so that's the seminal thing that the Economic Alliance does, is to bring people together in various opportunities, the annual summit being sort of the pinnacle of those opportunities, to share ideas and share opportunity.
And that's coming up in just over 2 months' time. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check off October 26th and 27th. Check it out on the internet, and if you can at all, if it's at all possible, try and involve yourself in some way and get to know what is going on economically on Vancouver Island, and this is the place to do it. George, thank you so much for being on the show. It was really, really informative and interesting to find out where we've come from, where we're going, and where our economic status is sitting.
Pleasure is all mine, Rosemary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's show. Next week, I'm very happy to be welcoming Donna Balzer. Donna knows the difference between dirt and soil. She knows why some cabbage plants get eaten by bugs and why others are left completely unscathed. The woman knows about plants. When I was in Alberta, I was a plant doctor. I knew a lot about growing things. You would think that when I came to Vancouver Island, that where it's so much easier to grow things here, that it would be a no-brainer. Ladies and gentlemen, growing things on Vancouver Island is a whole different story. And people like Donna Balzer make it possible for dumb prairie people to make corn grow here on Vancouver Island. Tune in next week. Join us right here on boldradio.com. I'm Rosemary Barnes, the host of Off the Coast Views from Vancouver Island, saying have a wonderful week and enjoy the island life.
Thank you for listening to Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island, with host Rosemary Barnes. To book Rosemary as a speaker or speaking coach, or to offer suggestions of extraordinary guests for the show, please visit her website at www.confidentstages.com.